All right, welcome to the third game of the evening. Up this time is The Mermaid of Zennor, a short, dark visual novel set in the UK about a young autistic girl's destructive obsession with her older brother. Lilac is miserable. Ignored by her callous parents and bullied by her peers at school, the young girl finds herself quite alone. Nobody wants to talk to her, save I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce this. Uh, Asylin?
Ashlyn.
Ashlyn, there we go. Her bubbly classmate, and Mrs. Kohori, the school counselor. But even then, Lilac suspects them to do so only out of pity. The only person Lilac feels able to trust is her older brother, Jesse, but she's not seen him in what seems to be an eternity. He moved away from their small Cornish village 2 months prior to attend a university in the bustling capital of the country, London. Like, um, and it goes on and on like this.
Yeah, I mean, you can get a pretty solid plot summary from, just looking at stuff, or at least the setup. So yeah, this it's named after, and probably the reason why it's set there. The Mermaid of Zennor is a real thing. There's a pew in the church there that is carved into a mermaid. It's unclear whether the folklore was there before the carving or the carving was there and the folklore followed. It's a very old church. But that's why it's set there. Um, and I mean, like, she goes to school in St. Ives and she mentions she's been to Penzance. This is all stuff that's like, if you look at a map of England, uh, it's all in like the last bump on the southwestern corner. It's a very small area. London is almost the entire width of the island away, which admittedly is shorter than the height of it, but when you're in a town of only a couple of hundred people, that feels pretty significant. Cornwall is also one of the areas of the country that has its own endemic language and stuff, but that doesn't come up that much. Anyway, so yeah, it is a pretty straightforward visual novel. I believe there are two endings, so there must be a choice you can make at some point, but otherwise it's just narrative. There's no voice acting, just portraits of the characters that are things. There's occasional still splash screens that you get unlock in the gallery, of which there's like only 8 or so, and probably one of those is exclusive to each ending at least. The music is very interesting. It's kind of off-putting, but I'm pretty sure that is intentional because Lilac is a pretty disturbed young girl in many ways. She's on the autism spectrum. She has to see a counselor because of a previous incident in which there was some violence on a bully that had been on another student that had been bullying her. She has a really hard time peopling because she's this is interesting because as a person on the autism spectrum, I can relate to actually kind of more of this than I wish I could. She says she has no interest in lying and will be very frank about a lot of stuff, but also sometimes she will try to adjust what she's doing to what she's saying when it's not strictly true and stuff, and I don't think she recognizes that she's doing that, or it's different when you do it. That kind of happens to me. And yeah, she is obsessed with, and she's 13 years old. Her brother is 19 and has gone away to college in London. She is, as far as she knows, romantically obsessed with him, but she barely knows what that is, I feel like. And it's just, he's like the only person, it seems like who's been really nice to her. She's the daughter of her father's second wife. Her brother is the son of his first wife. So they're only half siblings. And there's a lot of stress in the family in general. And she's teased by almost all of her classmates, most of the ones, there's barely anyone who stands up for her. She has some of the autistic stuff where you won't eat stuff, even if you know you should. Some of the characters say she's dirty, which it's entirely possible that she doesn't like bathing much. I don't know. The visuals don't quite line up with this. She looks fairly kempt, which she's not always described as being. But also she's clumsy, which is also a spectrum thing. I don't want to say that everyone on the autistic spectrum is as obsessive and badly adjusted, but I think it's probably it's certainly not unprecedented.
There's a reason it's a spectrum, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, allegedly this is only like a couple of hours if you read it straight through. I had to take some breaks because it's kind of heavy. Because
yeah,
it's not fun, and also it can be a little bit disturbing when you're just reading a relatively matter-of-fact discussion of events, and then the character matter-of-factly says that she kind of wishes she could just stab someone. Which I can understand, but it's not what you. It's not a fun, and there hasn't actually been any during the course of play violence, but
it's something that has been discussed that she did before the events.
That and stuff
game.
She wants to do to the bullies, or I guess minor spoilers if you couldn't see this coming. It's fairly predictable that when her brother finally comes back for the Christmas holidays, he comes back with a girlfriend that he's gotten while he's in London, and this has set off a whole new series of
problems, let's call them.
Yeah, because when you're obsessed with someone and they grow up and get attached to other people, but that didn't even occur to her to the girl as a possibility. It's disturbing.
Yep.
So yeah, this is definitely in the drama genre.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think there is a good ending and a less good ending. The good ending may have been added later. I don't know. I have not looked up that much about it. But yeah, anyway, I think it captures what it's going for well, but it's not something you want to play if you want to have a good time.
Yeah. There are other visual novels for that.
So yeah, that's... Unless you guys have any questions, I think that's about all I can really say. I was hoping I'd have time to play through it, but I had to put it down a few times.
That's fair.
Nothing from me.
So yeah,
in terms of pricing, $5.99 on Switch.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good price for it. It looks like it's about the same on Steam. As far as the consoleization, it seems to be decent. You get your usual back and forward buttons, menu to adjust volume and speed and stuff. doesn't do any stupid stuff like having you have to use a mouse or something, or use the stick as a mouse. You can just use your selector. The weirdest thing is sometimes it does seem to try to go for the geographically closest location when you go from like the sidebar menu to the menu where you select the menus to the contents of the actual menu. So you bump over from the button menu where you go to save it. The save slots are like 3 wide by 2 tall, and it starts at 4, which is the bottom left one, instead of at 1. But like relatively minor, unless you're really, really anal about optimal menu construction in games. It's fine. So yeah, that's I think that's about all I got.
All right,
I think this is worth it if you want to read it, but just keep in mind it's a bit heavy.
All right then. So yeah, that'll about do it for the Mermaid of Zennor. Be sure to tune in after the break as we review Ghost 1.0.